All right, strap in, everyone, because today we're going way back in time to ancient China to unlock the secrets of their military might.
Military might.
We're diving deep today into Chapter 31.
31.
Tiger Strategy from
Right.
the Art of War
Yes.
by the legendary Master Taigong. It's going to be like eavesdropping on a top secret conversation between King Wu, who was basically obsessed with conquering his enemies,
Right.
and his brilliant military strategist, Jiang Taigong. So by the end of this deep dive here, you'll understand exactly how these ancient Chinese armies, how they were organized
Yeah.
and equipped to just dominate the battlefield.
What's fascinating is it's not just about like throwing a ton of soldiers and weapons at the enemy.
Right.
This chapter is about meticulous planning,
Uh-huh.
preparation. Taigong lays out very specific tools and tactics for different scenarios, emphasizing adaptability. It's like he's giving King Wu an ancient Chinese military Swiss Army knife.
Okay, I like that. A Swiss Army knife, right. But this one is packed with thousands of soldiers and chariots.
Thousands.
Because we are talking about an army of 10,000 armored soldiers here.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, when we say armored, we're not talking tanks or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
This is serious protective gear.
Yeah.
Helmets, breastplates, the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely. And you need to move all those soldiers around the battlefield somehow, right? So you need some serious horsepower. Or in this case, chariot power.
Yeah, chariot power.
And Taigong does not disappoint. He outlines several different types of chariots.
Okay.
Each one designed for a very specific purpose.
So like the mighty assist chariot, that sounds wild.
Yeah.
36 soldiers.
Stacked onto one chariot.
Wow. Can you imagine like the chaos of 36 of these things just charging into enemy lines?
Oh, it would have been terrifying. The mighty assist chariots were the heavy hitters, designed to break through enemy formations. They were like the battering rams of their time, but with 8-foot wheels.
8 feet. Wow.
And a whole lot more firepower.
Okay, 8 feet is pretty tall, right? I mean, wouldn't they be vulnerable to attacks from the sides? And how would they even maneuver in rough terrain with those big wheels?
Well, that's where Taigong's strategic brilliance comes in. He understood no single weapon is perfect, right?
Yeah.
For every situation.
Right.
That's why he also includes chariots, like the wing assist and the minor wing assist.
Okay.
These were smaller,
I see.
more maneuverable, designed for like precision strikes.
Yeah.
And navigating those tight spaces.
So it's like a rock, paper, scissors approach to warfare.
It is.
You've got your heavy hitters, your nimble attackers.
Right.
And something in between. Wait, but there's more, right?
Oh, yeah.
What about those mighty crossbow assist chariots? Those sound like something straight out of a fantasy movie.
Yeah. They were definitely a force to be reckoned with. Imagine a barrage of crossbow bolts, right, raining down on the enemy. But the shafts, they alternate between red and green. And the feathers, those switch from white to red. The visual spectacle alone would have been disorienting, not to mention terrifying.
That's brilliant. It's not just about, like, the physical impact, right? You're bringing in this psychological warfare aspect as well. You're not just facing arrows, you're facing a storm of color.
Yeah.
And chaos.
And get this, to add another layer of psychological warfare, Taigong even suggests using white banners at night to mimic shooting stars. Imagine the confusion and fear
Oh, wow. Yeah.
that would instill in the enemy soldiers.
All right, so we've got these heavily armed chariots, right? Thundering across the battlefield, raining down arrows.
Yeah.
But what about when things get up close and personal?
Well, Taigong clearly wasn't afraid of a good old-fashioned brawl. He includes some seriously brutal hand-to-hand weapons in his arsenal.
Like the 12-pound iron maces with 5-foot handles. These things sound like they could take down a small building, let alone an enemy soldier.
Oh yeah, one swing from these things could shatter bones, break formations. We're talking like devastating close quarters combat.
And it doesn't stop there, right? Large axes, iron hammer. Wait, are those flying hooks on the list?
Yes. Imagine barbed hooks flung into the enemy ranks, snagging soldiers, dragging them down. It's brutal.
Yeah.
But it's a chillingly effective tactic.
So King Wu must be pretty impressed at this point, right? I mean, this arsenal is already mind-blowing.
Oh,
but it sounds like we're just getting started. What other surprises does Taigong have up his sleeve?
Oh, there's plenty more to explore. Remember, this is just a glimpse into the mind of a military genius who was obsessed with every detail of warfare. We've covered the chariots, the hand-to-hand combat. But the ancient Chinese? They had much more in their arsenal.
Intriguing. I can't wait to uncover the rest of this ancient Chinese military shopping list.
Yes.
This deep dive is just getting started. Stick with us, and we'll be back with part 2 in a flash.
Welcome back. Last time, we were exploring the ancient Chinese approach to warfare, focusing on that impressive array of chariots and weapons they had. We talked about the mighty assist chariot as the heavy hitter, right? The one that would smash through enemy lines.
Yeah, like a battering ram on wheels. But Taigong had something even more specialized for breaking down those fortifications, right?
You know it. He specifically mentions mighty assist battering rams. These were heavily armored chariots, but instead of soldiers, they carried a massive ram.
Oh, wow.
Designed to pulverize gates and walls.
So we're talking about a chariot-sized battering ram. That must have been a sight to behold.
Oh, yeah.
And terrifying to be on the receiving end of. Who would they choose to operate those things? I bet it took some serious muscle.
It wasn't just about muscle. It was about skill and precision, too. These battering rams, they were operated by elite warriors known as praying mantis warriors.
Praying mantis warriors. Okay, that's a cool name. Are we talking about, like, quick, agile fighters? Like the insect?
That's a great question. The name definitely suggests a connection to the praying mantis's predatory nature and those lightning-fast strikes.
No, so they were probably experts in hand-to-hand combat, but also skilled at maneuvering those battering rams to target weak points in enemy defenses. It's all about strategy and precision.
Exactly. So far, we've been talking a lot about offense.
Right. Charging chariots, battering rams, elite warriors.
But what about defense?
Yeah, how did the ancient Chinese protect themselves against all this? Because you can't just attack all the time. You need a solid defense to back you up. Did Taigong have any recommendations for that?
Absolutely. He goes into detail about defensive structures,
Okay.
including these intriguing things called wooden praying mantis, sword blade chariots. Imagine a massive platform, 2 zang wide, that's over 20 feet.
Wow, 20 feet wide.
Equipped with blades and designed to counter both chariots and cavalry.
That's like a mobile wall of blades. I bet those things were a nightmare to get past.
They would have been a formidable obstacle for any attacking force. And to slow down the enemy even further, Taigong recommends scattering wooden caltrops on the ground.
Caltrops, what are those?
They're essentially spiked metal objects.
Okay.
Imagine stepping on one of those.
Ouch.
They may seem simple, but they're incredibly effective at disabling troops, horses, disrupting formations, and generally slowing down an enemy advance.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's a simple but effective way to disrupt the enemy's momentum.
Okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. Taigong seems to favor a combination of brute force and clever tactics. What else did he have in his defensive arsenal?
He talks about these things called axis-revolving short-spear chariots. The name's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
But it essentially describes a chariot equipped with rotating mechanisms that launch short spears.
Hold on, are we talking about ancient Chinese, like, rocket launchers?
It's not quite rocket launchers.
Okay.
But the concept is similar. They were inspired by a legendary battle where the Yellow Emperor used a similar weapon to defeat his enemy, Qi Yu. Wow, so they're taking inspiration from, like, legendary battles and innovating based on that knowledge. That's impressive. Okay, so we've covered chariots, both offensive and defensive, and some pretty brutal hand-to-hand weapons. But what about ranged attacks? Did Taigong have anything to say about protecting soldiers from arrows and other projectiles?
You bet. He specifies that the army should have a balanced mix of weapons, including 6,000 strong crossbows,
Okay.
2,000 halberds, and 2,000 spears and shields.
So it's not just about offense, it's about having a well-rounded force capable of both attacking and defending effectively.
Exactly. And Taigong doesn't just focus on those large-scale battles. He also provides guidelines for smaller skirmishes and ambushes.
Ah, so he's got all the bases covered. What kind of tactics did he recommend for those situations?
He suggests using those flying hooks we talked about earlier to disrupt enemy ranks,
Okay.
as well as strategically placing iron caltrops in narrow passages or along escape routes.
It's amazing how much detail Taigong goes into. He's thought of everything. This isn't just a military shopping list. It's a comprehensive guide to ancient Chinese warfare.
It really is. We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
But there's still more to discover in this ancient Chinese military manual. Are you ready to delve into some even more specialized tools and tactics?
You know I am. Lead the way. I'm fascinated to see what other surprises Taigong has in store for us. Let's dive into part 3.
Okay, we're back. Ready to uncover the final layer of Taigong's strategic brilliance.
Yes.
In the last two parts, we've seen the incredible detail that went into equipping an ancient Chinese army for large-scale battles, right? Close quarters combat, even smaller skirmishes.
Hmm.
But I have a feeling Taigong had even more tricks up his sleeve,
Oh,
right?
you bet. Remember, we're talking about a military strategist who was obsessed with adaptability, having the right tool for every situation.
Okay, so like what kind of specialized tools are we talking about here? Give me some examples.
Well, he mentions net traps.
And these things called tiger fall contraptions.
Tiger fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
These were essentially elaborate booby traps designed to immobilize enemy soldiers.
Tiger fall. That sounds intense. Was it like a pit trap with spikes at the bottom? How did those work?
We can only speculate
All
based
right.
on the name, but it suggests a sudden, inescapable drop, perhaps a camouflaged pit, right, that would give way
Mm.
under the weight of enemy troops. It's a great example of how the ancient Chinese, they used the terrain to their advantage.
That's so clever. It's not just about brute force. It's about using strategy and deception to outmaneuver your opponent. What other ingenious contraptions did Taigong come up with?
Imagine you're facing a heavily fortified enemy position, a sheer cliff, or a deep ravine. How do you get your troops across?
I don't know. How?
Taigong's solution: flying bridges.
Like flying bridges.
Yes, these are portable bridges, over 20 feet wide, at least 30 feet long, equipped with wheels and pulleys for easy deployment.
Wait, they had portable bridges back then. That's incredible. They could basically overcome any obstacle in their path.
Exactly. And for crossing larger bodies of water, he describes these things called flying rivers,
Mhm.
essentially massive floating platforms that could be assembled and disassembled as needed.
Hold on, are we talking about like ancient inflatable rafts here? That seems way ahead of their time.
Not quite inflatable raft,
Okay.
but the concept is similar. These flying rivers, they were feats of engineering, using sturdy materials, ingenious construction techniques to transport troops and equipment across rivers and even seas.
It blows my mind to think about like the level of ingenuity and craftsmanship that went into these ancient Chinese inventions. They were masters of adaptation, finding solutions for every obstacle imaginable.
And Taigong didn't just stop at large-scale battles and fortifications. He even provided guidelines for establishing camps in various terrains, including mountains and forests.
So he was like the ancient Chinese Bear Grylls, teaching soldiers how to survive and thrive in the wilderness.
You could say that.
Yeah.
He emphasized creating secure and defensible encampments, even suggesting the use of tiger fall barriers made from interwoven branches, reinforced with iron chains and ropes.
It's fascinating how Taigong considered every detail, from large-scale battles to wilderness survival. But with all this incredible equipment, I have to wonder, who was responsible for maintaining and repairing it all?
That's a great point. Taigong, he specifically mentions the need for skilled artisans, outlining a team of 300 craftspeople dedicated to keeping everything in top condition.
Ah, the unsung heroes of the ancient Chinese army.
Right.
Without them, all those ingenious weapons and contraptions, they'd be useless.
Absolutely. Their expertise was essential for keeping the army operational and ensuring victory on the battlefield.
So what does this all mean? I mean, we've seen the incredible detail and strategic thinking that went into equipping an ancient Chinese army. It wasn't just about brute force, it was about calculated planning and adaptability. This deep dive into tiger strategy has really revealed the depth of their understanding of warfare.
Yeah, Taigong emphasized adaptability, preparedness, having the right tool for the job.
It's no wonder the ancient Chinese army was such a dominant force. For centuries. But here's a final thought for you to ponder. If you were transported back in time and found yourself facing this army, what would your best strategy for survival be? Think about it. Until next time, keep on diving deep.